October 29th, 2015. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 85 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So that was quite a weekend of VIMF in Las Vegas.
Quite a long weekend.
Yeah, it was.
What it was.
We're going to be talking about everything that happened to us at VIMF during this episode. I suspect it's going to be one of our longer episodes. So we do have some emails and phone calls that we will get to on our next episode.
Yeah, so it'll be 2 weeks from
Right, 2 weeks,
today.
yeah. But pretty much this episode, we're just going to talk about VIMF. One quick news item. So the TV show, The Player, on NBC, it looks like it's been canceled.
Yeah.
They haven't officially said absolutely canceled, but they stopped an order on 9 episodes total for the season. It's been getting really bad ratings.
I wonder why.
Well,
I mean, the guy's pretty handsome and the girl's really good looking.
Yeah.
And they kind of have some kind of relationship. There's some kind of spark there.
Yeah.
A little bit. And, you know, I think it's not a bad show.
I like it too, but, you know, so much of it is marketing and time slot.
Right.
And, you know,
I think
so
time
many
slot
things.
is a big deal with that. Yeah.
So as of this recording, when we post it, there are 4 episodes left. They're going to have a total of 9. And I'm sure they'll officially announce the cancellation here within a few days. But if you're like us and you are itching for more scripted TV shows that have to do with gambling, a new TV show called Casino was just picked up by NBC. Now, according to Deadline, Casino centers on the aftermath of a mogul's mysterious death when his ambitious young widow and his illegitimate son have to join forces to save his famed casino, while circumstances surrounding his death come to light and threaten to take them both down.
It sounds great.
So,
ambitious young wife or widow and illegitimate son.
Mm-hmm. So you got everything you need.
You got
there.
everything you need there. That's all you need to say.
Right now, there's no word on when the show might premiere, but NBC has picked it up. So, you know, maybe
I wonder if it'll look like a casino, or will it be one of those where they show a casino and my wife always says, that's not what they look like. You know, it's some little room with like 3 tables in it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, you know, they'll actually film in a real casino.
That would be good. Yeah.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. All right, let's jump into it. VIMF.
All right, here we go.
So our flight over there was fairly uneventful.
Yeah.
Although they did announce at the beginning that it was going to be extremely turbulent.
So there would be no drink service because that's too dangerous with the turbulence for the attendants to serve drinks.
Right.
And how much turbulence did we have?
About the same as usual.
Yeah, I mean, probably less.
Because, you know, when you're...
I don't know that I've had that smooth a flight to Vegas in quite a while.
Usually the turbulence when you come to Vegas, at least at our experience has been, it's right before you land.
Right,
you know,
right.
When
The
you're
heat coming off the desert
right.
usually cause some turbulence.
But yeah, it didn't seem to be any worse than normal.
No, there wasn't hardly any at all. Now, maybe that was the pilot doing, you know, his thing and avoiding it.
Well, that could be too, but it sounded like maybe some other flights had gone through the turbulence. Maybe by the time we got to it, you know, it had cleared up.
So we missed our free 1/8 of a can of Coke.
Yeah, right. All we got, they did give us water.
They did give us water,
yeah,
right.
That was and whenever we're on a flight to Vegas, we play cards. Usually we play Pai Gow poker just for fun. Sometimes we play $1 a hand, something like that. We just played for fun this time. You were killing me, so I'm glad we were.
Why weren't we playing for money? I was on fire.
I know. It was amazing. However, we did switch to 3-card poker at one point. And I can't remember what you got. You got some crummy hand.
It was nothing
like that. I got 3 aces.
Yeah, you dealt yourself 3 aces.
What a waste on an airplane where it means absolutely nothing, you know, and I could be in Vegas and get 3 aces and have a nice little payout.
Yeah, we'd have to pay you 40 to 1 if we were playing.
Is that what it is? See, I don't even remember the payouts for a 3-card poker like that. So anyway, we landed in Las Vegas, and this year, just like last year, we rented a car. And our rental car experience this year was much better.
Right. Well, you had that Express Hertz Gold Club thing.
Yeah, that helped quite a bit. We did have to get in line, you know, for the shuttle. It still surprises me how many people are getting on that shuttle on a Thursday night.
Oh, gosh. I told Mark when we landed, this will be a cakewalk. It's Thursday night. It's kind of late on Thursday night, too.
Right, that's right. Yeah, we landed about 9:30.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, we'll just get on the shuttle and head right over there. There's still a boatload of people in line for the shuttle.
Yeah, that was our biggest waiting was just the line for the shuttle. But yeah, so when we got to the rental car hub, we rented through Hertz. Now, I had signed up for the Hertz Gold Club. It's completely free. Anybody can do it. Right. You just sign up. And the nice thing is when you're a Gold Club member, you can just walk straight to your car and drive away. Well, since this was the first time I had rented a car as a Gold Club member, we did have to go to the counter. Your first time, you do have to kind of check in and officially sign up.
Right. They ask you. There's some info they want.
Right. But still, there's a separate counter for the Gold Club. Right. So, we didn't have to stand in the regular Hertz counter. We just walked up to the Gold Club counter and there was no wait at all.
Yeah.
So the woman helped us out right there and got our car and it was no trouble. So we got out of there pretty quickly.
I imagine other rental car companies have similar things.
Yes.
And so for everyone who, even if you travel very infrequently, sign up for one of them, whichever one you're going to use.
Sure.
Boy, it's sure nice.
Yeah, as long as it's free like Hertz.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have to give any kind of information, a credit card or anything, just signed up.
My wife signed up for it actually this week.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, cause she's going to rent a car when she goes on a trip. And so she signed up so she can, just cruise right through.
Nice. So next year, if we do it again through Hertz, we should be able to walk right to the car. Although, we always usually I rent the car and then we sign you up as an additional driver. Right. We may still have to go to the counter for that. Right. That's kind of a AAA bonus since we're both AAA. So,
and we might have to go to the counter if when we get to the car, it's like trashed.
Yeah, right. That's so funny. That's right. Right before we stepped up to the counter, there was a guy who apparently was Gold Club and he had already been to his car.
Right. And he comes back and he's like, it's in bad shape.
Yeah, who do I see about, do I have to take this car?
Right. Well, it wasn't that it was all banged up and dinged up, evidently.
Yeah.
And she just said, oh, just write it all down and they'll mark it all. And he's like, well, no, you don't understand. It's filthy inside. I don't want this car. It's filthy. And I don't know what it looked like.
I can't imagine. Yeah, we didn't see.
But, they clean them and everything afterwards. I can't imagine it'd be that dirty.
How dirty could it be? I mean, I guess I've gotten into dirty rental cars before, but not the kind to be like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, he was like
unless it was smoky
out.
Or something, but yeah.
And I can't remember what happened with that.
I don't know. She said something like, well, if you want to change cards, you need
got
to go
to the main counter.
The regular counter, yeah.
Right, and he took off for the counter.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. We asked, and at that point, I asked for a dirty car.
That's right. Is it cheaper? We'll take the discount. Just give us a dirty one.
We'll take the dirty one.
Well, we got a Nissan Maxima, and you were driving. And so, we pulled out and we, checked out at the checkout area and pulled out onto the road.
Right.
And you were having some trouble.
Yeah, it's like I was hitting the gas and the car wasn't accelerating like it should. It was almost as if the parking brake was on.
Yeah.
So I kept looking to see. I'm like, I don't have the parking brake on. What is this?
I think we pulled over at one point because, I was looking at the dash too. When your parking brake is on, even if it's on just a little bit,
right,
the light will come on. But there was no light for the parking brake.
The car was moving.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem to have enough giddy up, Yeah. So anyway, we got on the freeway. And, as soon as I'm pressing the gas, trying to go faster, and it's going like 45 and
it was and the needle on the RPMs is about to hit the red.
Yeah, the needle's getting to the red. And I'm like, this isn't right. So we pulled out.
I'm saying, Mike, slow down. I know we were on the freeway, but it's like slow down to at least 50. And pull off as soon as you can, right? Because you really were.
I got off on the first exit.
I'm thinking, great, we're going to blow this engine, right? We've had such good luck so far with the rental car experience, and now we're going to actually ruin the car.
But we pulled off at the first exit. We went to an In-N-Out.
Yeah, the In-N-Out there. We just pulled into the parking lot there.
And then I realized, as we're sitting there, that the gear shift's in the wrong position.
Yeah, and it was
it like slipped into from a drive into an overdrive or something.
Yeah, and it's funny because of course that's the first thing that we thought of. We actually looked at the gear shift kind of when you were driving, and we couldn't see anything wrong. It actually looked like it was in the right position. But once you looked at it a little closer, it was just
in the wrong position. So we put it in the right position and drove away. You feel like an idiot
I know.
when that happens, but it's like you've never driven that car before.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice car. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fine.
I did not like that gear shift thing. It was weird.
Yeah, it was too easy to get into that, gear
right. It just
shift.
slipped right into it. It didn't, it wasn't like, you had to work at getting it in there. It just fell into it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we drove to Golden Nugget. Both of us stayed at Golden Nugget that first night, checked in there. Just like I promised, I immediately headed to the ABC store. I bought a bunch of Gatorade. I bought a bunch of energy drinks. I bought all the gifts for my kids. Got that all out of the way, and then straight to bed.
Yeah, and I did the same.
No, I don't think so. So now you played some craps.
I played some craps, and it didn't go so well. It started off good, then it got bad, and I was down to out of my $1,000 buy-in, I was down to $80 or something. Yeah. So I left, and right across from the craps I was playing was a blackjack table. It was 3-2. We had looked at it when we got there.
That's
remember?
Right. Yeah.
It was 3-2.
Was it double deck?
And it was double deck.
Yeah. Good.
And so I thought, what the hell? I'll just play this $80. I was thinking I'm going to play it was a $25 table.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I've got 3 bets here. So I bet 25 won. Anyway, won all my money back at blackjack.
Nice.
Then went to bed.
Good. Okay. So you did okay.
And I went to bed. I was up, what did I say? It was $130 or something.
Good. That's a nice feeling, especially after being down and then just going to bed. It's like, okay, good.
Going to bed ahead. I was pretty happy.
Yes. So we woke up the next morning. Each of us had some free play by staying at the Golden Nugget. So first I don't like how they do this. First we had to go to their players club.
Right.
And, kind of check in. And they said, okay, you're all set. Now head over to the cashier to get your free play.
Right. They have to log it in the computer.
I don't know why it's a 2-step process, but we did that.
They make you work for it, is what it is.
Now, I only got $50 in free play. And this happened last year, too. Unfortunately, $25 chips is the lowest denomination they have for their free play. So I just got 2 $25 chips.
Right.
So that's a little risky because if I'm just playing those 2 chips, I could lose the whole thing.
Right.
Whereas if I'd had $5 chips that I could spread out, well, I'm not going to lose them all. I mean, theoretically I could, but chances are I won't. Or if they could give us in slot play, I'd be able to play the slot.
She wanted to give me 4 $100 chips.
How much do you have? 400?
Yeah. Okay. And she wanted to give me 4 $100 chips. That's what she gave me.
Yeah.
She didn't even ask. She just gave it to me. And I said, can I get smaller? And she said, well, and she kind of hammed on. She said, well, we do have 25s. And I said, well, give me 25.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I want, $100, right? You got to bet it all at once.
Right. It turned out okay. I think I used them to place the 6 and 8, and I think I actually won from it.
And I think I think I actually won for mine because I used them for the same. I was placing numbers and enough numbers hit that I'm sure I won.
So we're just playing at the Golden Nugget in the morning, and a listener, Matt, from Washington, D.C., he came up to the table, was kind of, looking at the table, and I was kind of looking at him at the corner of my eye and thinking...
Because he was kind of standing there.
Yeah, it's like, could this be a listener, or is it somebody, just looking at the game, trying to figure out craps? Yeah. And then finally he said, oh, I recognize the voice, and introduced himself.
Yeah, it was funny. He said he heard our voice as he was walking up. So he assumed that was us, and so he came to that table.
Anyway, we cashed out there, and then Matt and the two of us, we went over to the Golden Gate because we were doing our craps meetup that morning at 10 o'clock. We were going to kind of give a tutorial on craps. So we went over there, and they've got 2 craps tables at the Golden Gate. One of them was open, and one was not.
And I think that morning, did they have a full set of dealers?
Yeah, the table that was open, it was a full set of dealers. The entire table was open.
Right. Yep. They had a pit boss and 3 dealers.
Yeah. And there weren't many people there.
Right.
So we actually started playing a little bit there before the 10 o'clock meetup. And then once it was 10 o'clock, I kind of said, hi, everybody. Anybody who's here for VIMF, come on over to this empty table, and I'll start to kind of explain the game.
Right. So it was a little hard to explain on the table we were playing at.
Yeah.
Because there were people who were playing, number one.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get all the people. There were so many people. We couldn't get them all in one group.
Right.
So it was easier just to go over to the other table.
And we figured, well, what we'll do is I'll kind of go over the basics, and then we'll move over to the open table, and then we'll play.
Right.
People who've learned, then they'll get some hands-on, because you really have to have hands-on to really get a feel for the game.
And you could sit there and explain all you want, but until you've actually put some money down, then you start to pay attention. Is what it turns out.
So anyway, while I'm teaching this game, and I talked about it a little bit at the bingo session, there was an older gentleman who was, kind of on the side there, and I'm thinking, he seems a little out of place. I don't think he's with VIMF. And somebody had asked about the big 6 and 8. Hey, some tables have that big 6 and 8 on there. And I started saying, yeah, Thankfully, a lot of casinos have gotten rid of that. In fact, the Golden Gate didn't even have it on there.
Right.
So it's a terrible bet because it pays even money. And if you just place the 6 or 8, you'll get 7 to 6. It's better than an even money payout. So it's really good to go. So after I was done with this teaching session, the older guy said, yeah, I can't believe they got rid of the big 6 and 8. And I said, well, actually it's good. You don't want to bet that. And he started talking about this system that he has where he likes to bet the field and the big 6 and 8 and this and that and something else. And
so he's adding 6 and 8 to the field.
Yeah, that's basically.
How does he cover the 5?
I don't know. Does he place the 5? Because if he knows to place the 5, doesn't he know to place the 6 and 8?
Yeah.
It was obvious that I was not going to get through to this guy, right? All I was trying to say was why the place was
had
better.
A system.
That's exactly right. So finally, I just went along with him. And, you're right. Why they got rid of the big 6 and 8 is beyond me. Stupid casinos. Have a nice day.
He's probably cousin. He's a cousin. He's a distant cousin to the no 4 guy from years ago.
Years ago at the Golden Gate. Give me a no 4.
That was at Golden Gate, too. He's still hanging out there. His cousin comes now.
So anyway, after the session, then those who wanted to play moved over to the open table, and then we all played there for a little while. And that was actually great.
We actually were having some good rolls.
Having some good rolls, and the crew was great, and I love the music that they play there, right? It's not too loud, but, it kind of keeps you...
That casino, I love playing craps there, actually, because the music is just perfect for a table. You can hear.
Yeah.
The dealers were very good.
Very good and friendly.
Boxman was
including
excellent.
the boxman.
The boxman was excellent. Later that night, I think we had a boxman, and he was standing up. He wasn't just sitting in his thing, and he was helping the dealers, and
he was tremendous.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah, and while we were there, listener Greg came up to the table. We've met him before. He came to Harrah's, Southern California.
First person we ever met.
At here in California. Yeah, right. And you've actually seen him many times in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Every time I go to Vegas, Greg
and, he steps up to the table right next to me. He says, hi, how's it going? I said, oh, hi, nice to meet you, Mark. It's like, Greg, sorry. But, I knew that was going to happen all weekend long. But I hadn't seen him you'd seen him relatively recently.
Yeah, I'd seen him fairly.
But the worst thing was, too, I knew he was on his way. We were tweeting back and forth. You guys still at Golden Gate? Yeah, come on over. So, I was expecting him, and still it's like, oh, hi,
well,
Mark, nice to meet you.
To cover you a little bit, there were a lot of people.
Yeah.
That was one thing for me, anyway. People were coming up to me constantly. Hi, nice to meet you, nice to meet you.
Sure.
And I remember their faces, but, 10 minutes later, I completely forgot their name.
Yeah.
And then when they come back to talk to you, it's like, oh, yeah, now what was your name?
I know,
and,
I felt so bad.
You feel terrible.
I know.
It's just I'm not good with names.
Yeah.
Faces, I knew. I knew they were, but I knew I'd met them and what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Oh, we should mention that Jesse was the name of the boxman.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was terrific, yeah. So after that session, the game kind of broke up, and we said, well, let's go grab some lunch. And so we decided to go over to Pizza Rock. And we ended up eating at Pizza Rock with Greg and Robin from the Anytime Gambling website.
Nice, very nice guy.
Travis, Matt, and Vincent, who we'd met a few weeks ago here in California.
And also, wasn't Victor there?
Yeah. Did I say Vincent? I wrote down Vincent.
You wrote Vincent. It's Victor.
It's Victor, yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, who's Vincent now? I'm just thinking, oh, that's another person I met that I don't remember.
That's right. And Vincent, don't you remember Vincent? Oh my God, he was the life of the party. Now he's going to be like this mysterious, Vincent. Yeah, he was at VIMF, wasn't he? I think I met him.
We'll have to bring him up. Yeah, we saw Vincent out at Harris Rincon.
Oh, God, terrific. It continues, folks. Yeah, Victor, not Vincent. It was Victor. Who we met a few weeks back here in California. Anyway, you had a meatball sandwich. Was that pretty good?
The meatball sandwich was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The meatball, somebody had told me the meatballs are really good there.
Yeah.
So I thought, and I love meatball sandwiches. Yeah. It was excellent. It was too big.
Yeah.
And that's, unusual for me to say, but it was good.
Yeah, that's good. I think Robin also got just the meatballs. And it was supposed to be good. I got a pepperoni pizza. It was very good. I guess you can get like slices if you just get it to go, but if you're at the table, you have to order a whole pizza.
I think that's what Matt did. He just got slices and brought it over there.
And I almost ate I guess I gave you a slice, but
I
pretty
ate a
much
slice
ate the
of your
thing.
pizza.
So that was very good. One thing I will
after I'm saying my meatball sandwich was too big, I ate the whole thing plus a slice of his pizza.
Yeah, you did. One thing we should mention, and I don't know if it was just our meal or if this happens a lot at Pizza Rock, but our dishes arrived at the table over a long period of time.
Yeah, we ordered at the same time.
Yeah, we did.
But they all came in a weird order. Victor got his salad. Yeah. and then I got my meatball sandwich, and you were the last one to get your pizza.
I thought maybe they'd forgotten about me, but no. By the time I got my pizza, almost everyone else was done eating.
Right.
So again, I don't know if that's a Pizza Rock thing or just what happened to us.
I had them do it so I could get some of your pizza.
Oh, okay.
Because I figured if I had eaten all mine,
fresh. You didn't want to eat your meatball sandwich and then eat a cold piece of pizza.
Right. So I'm, hey, can you bring that pizza last?
Okay. All right. Now it all makes sense. So we finished up there, and at the end, Travis insisted on picking up the bill for the entire table.
Yes.
So nice.
That was very nice.
That was very nice.
I was going to do that.
Oh, you were?
I was, and he just grabbed it beforehand. But that was wonderful. It was very nice of him to do that.
Thank you again, Travis. So at that point, I only had one night comped at Golden Nugget. So my next 3 nights, I was over at the D. So I went over and checked in at the D. And then we headed over to the Icebreaker, the kind of the first official VIMF event over at Golden Gate at 2:00. And I mean, the place was hopping.
Yeah.
I imagine the employees who didn't know about VIMP were probably trying to figure out what was going on because it was just 2:00 on a Friday afternoon and the place was packed, you know, so. But we got to meet for the first time Sparkles and Edwin from Denton, Dallas, and Beyond, and also Tony from the Vice Lounge Online podcast.
Tony had a great shirt.
Oh, yeah. He had a Vice Lounge Online shirt that was fantastic. I'm so glad I forgot my You Can Bet on That shirt.
Yeah,
because it would have paled by comparison.
That was a great shirt. Yeah. And it's the kind of shirt I like. It kind of hangs loose on you.
Well, it's kind of like a bowling shirt,
yeah,
right?
Like a bowling shirt. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's comfortable. It just looked comfortable.
Yep. So that was the Icebreaker, and we all kind of got to meet everybody. And then around 3:00, Chuck Monster had us all go outside and made a couple of announcements, and then we started the big Admiral's Parade through Fremont Street, the VIMF Admiral's Parade. And we mentioned this at the bingo session. You had a big old stack of $5 chips, and
I was handing out $5 chips for Golden Gate. $5 chips.
So that was kind of fun. The parade ended up at the Mannequin Piss statue in front of the D. Now, Mannequin Piss, it's a replica of the famous fountain in Belgium of the little kid just peeing endlessly. Yeah. Right? Kind of defiantly.
Defiantly, peeing, this smirk on his face.
That's right, yeah. It's kind of a tip of the hat to Derek Stevens' heritage. And it's kind of, I have a feeling it's going to become a real fixture, iconic Las Vegas
fixture,
yeah. So we were all in front of Mannequin Piss, and Chuck led us in the reciting of the Vegas Internet Mafia Omerta, like the oath that we all take.
The oath that we have to take.
Yeah. And then everybody headed inside the D, and then we met Chris and Aaron from the Faces and Aces Las Vegas podcast.
Accidentally met them.
Accidentally?
Well, they were like walking behind us, right?
Well, I think I think they came up and introduced themselves to us.
Oh, okay. But I thought it was just like we rode the elevator together.
Oh, no. You know what happened was we talked for a little bit outside and the group kind of moved in. So we kind of got separated from the group. Right. And remember, we went inside and it's like, well, where did they go?
Right.
And then we saw Chuck getting on an elevator at the D.
So we tried to get on that same elevator.
Yeah, but we couldn't. And so we looked at the D, the elevators, the way they work is when you go into the elevator lobby area, you actually type your floor number, the floor number you want to go to, into a keypad.
Right.
And then the little display shows you what elevator to get on. The elevators don't actually have buttons inside.
Right.
So somehow we thought he went like to the 11th or 12th floor or something. So we said, well, let's try. Maybe that's where the party is. And we went up the elevator and it was just a hotel floor, right? So
I'd never seen an elevator like that before where you didn't have a keypad inside the elevator.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, we're taking my mom and dad to a concert, and we went to the NBC building downtown San Diego, and the elevators were the same.
That's where they're.
Yeah. So in a week, I've seen 2 elevators like that. I've never seen that before in my life.
Well, eventually we just went back down to the 2nd floor, and that's where everybody had gone. They were
which is funny because that's where it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, if we just thought about it, it's just because we saw Chuck, running into an elevator. It's like, oh, he's heading to the party. But everybody was there at the View Bar. So we kind of socialized for a little while, waiting for the VIMFPTUCKY Derby to take place. Oh, and while we were waiting, Victor and I were looking around at some of the video poker machines, we actually found a positive EV game there. I want to say it was bonus poker. I'm pretty sure it was bonus poker. Yeah. It was a progressive, and the progressive was high enough on this quarter machine that it was actually positive EV.
Right.
It wasn't much. It was a little over 100% payback, but yeah, it's something.
Yeah.
I imagine, unless the Royal Flush has hit since we were there, it's not like a lot of people were playing it.
No, so it was like the payout for the Royal Flush was like $4,000 and
well, it was about $1,400. You're thinking in terms of coins, but it was around like $1,400.
$1,400
bucks.
Like it was like a $1,400.
Yeah. So anyway, if anybody's at the D, check that out. It was the bank of video poker just right across from the Sigma Derby machine.
Right.
Pretty close there.
Yeah. Not exactly next to it, but one aisle over.
Yeah.
Between there and the Keno.
Yeah, and the Keno, the sportsbook. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So anyway, VIMFPTUCKY Derby. We entered you into the VIMFPTUCKY Derby, and you were in the very first heat. How'd that go?
It went well, actually. I mean, I won the heat.
Yeah, at the end of the heat, you had the most.
I had the most. We had, 40 coins, and there were 10 races.
Yeah.
So you had to use all 40 coins in the 10 races. So basically, 4 coins a race would get you through that.
Yeah.
You could use more than 4 in a race. You just had to use all 40 by the end of the 10th race.
Yeah.
And my strategy was basically to put a coin or two on the long shot, and then a coin or two on the favorite, and then a coin or two on something in the middle.
Okay.
And see what happens. I hit no long shots came in my heat.
Okay.
But I did hit several like 8-to-1, 9-to-1s in the middle.
Yeah.
And I was able to boost it up. I think at one point I had like 6 coins on a 9-to-1 shot. Mm-hmm. So, it shot me up a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, that's basically what my strategy was. And I ended up winning the heat.
Yeah.
It didn't do me any good because there were like 4 heats, I believe.
Something like that, 4 or 5 heats. And it was basically whoever had the highest totals from, all of the heats. It's not like the winners of each heat
Which
advanced.
Actually is not a good way to run it. I hate to criticize that, but that's not a good way to run that because in my heat, no long shots came in.
Right.
So I did the best I could with what happened during my heat.
Okay.
In another heat, I heard the last heat, a bunch of long shots came in.
Oh, yeah, right.
And people who had put a few coins on the long shot, just shot right up there.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I was running it, I would have thought, okay, let's take the winner from each heat.
Right.
So that'd be like, say there's 5, and if there's 8 seats, then the next 3 highest total from all the heats.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, kind of like they do at, I guess, the Olympics, right?
Right.
Like in the swimming.
So, right, like in swimming. Right. You take the winner of each heat, or first and second of each heat, and then you take the...
Yeah. Well, keep in mind also, this is gambling, and it's the purest form of just dumb luck gambling.
And that's why I didn't say anything or anything, because it's just dumb luck gambling, right? I mean, I could have been in the heat where they were all long shots and made a ton.
Yep.
So...
Yeah. So after the VIMFPTUCKY Derby, you actually headed down to the Strip. I stayed downtown.
Yeah, I had to go check in. I had a room for one of our friends, and I checked him into his room.
Yeah, that was at Paris, right?
At Paris, right.
So it's our friend Paul, who's one of our best friends going way back. And
going way back.
A close gambling buddy, too.
Yeah,
right?
and the only person who's ever hosted this with us.
That's right. He's the only guest we've had on the show, right?
Right.
So a very close friend. But he just happened to be in Vegas. He wasn't there for VIMF.
No, he was there.
He just happened to be there that
weekend. Him and
weekend.
some other friends of his go for football.
Yeah, so you got him a room at Paris. Through Caesars. But yeah, Paul, he doesn't listen to the show. He didn't come to our bingo show.
No.
I didn't even see him the whole weekend.
No, we actually went back to Paris and we didn't see him. Yeah, he was there the whole time.
How good a friend can he be? I mean, we might as well badmouth him. It's not like he's ever going to hear this.
No, he doesn't listen to this, so we can say anything you want about him. I won't tell him.
I'm not going to say anything other than he's not even entering the football pool because he's so...
Computer phobic?
Yeah, tech phobic, right? He can't log into Yahoo to join the football pool. I called him a couple of weeks ago. I said, Paul, do you need some help? And said, oh, yeah, I was having trouble. Well, do you need help now? Well, I'm not at my computer. All right, well, call me back. Let me know. He hasn't called me back. So, whatever. Anything interesting while you were there at on the Strip?
They were watching football, and I went and played a little bit. I had some free play there, and I actually won my free play as usual.
You're the king of free play.
Yeah, I get free play, and I win in on it. My problem is I take it over to the craps table and lose it all.
You just played all video poker?
I played all video poker.
Yeah.
I had like $400. I cashed out for like $575.
Oh, well, nice.
Yeah. I mean, on just video poker. I was playing dollar video poker.
Yeah.
I got a 4 of a kind, and I got a bunch of full houses, things like that. Anyway, cash out. I took that $575, went over and played craps, and it didn't take too long for that to disappear.
Okay. All right.
The Paris craps was not good to me this time.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't for me either. We'll talk about that.
That was later in the trip.
I stayed downtown. I ended up going to dinner with Tony and Rue from Denton, Dallas, and Beyond, Alistair, who is a frequent co-host on the 360 Vegas podcast, Scott, Travis, Bogan, Victor, Ryan, and Becky. We all went to La Comida, which is a Mexican restaurant there on Fremont. And I got living in Southern California, we eat a lot of Mexican food. And I don't want to say that
constantly.
I don't want to say that I've got like a discriminating palate, but I think I know good Mexican food.
Yeah, right.
I mean, literally, if you're just talking taco shops, I mean, literally there are taco shops kitty corner from each other, right, on intersections here, right? So.
We had a conversation actually on Sunday night with a bunch of listeners about the best place to get Mexican food in San Diego.
Here,
and there's a place that's, it's in the crappiest part of town under a bridge. You would not want to go there at night.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Mike, because you and we were talking about this. Yeah. I had a location I was thinking of. They're literally like 100 yards from each other.
Right.
Yeah, the same part of town.
And they're both like excellent Mexican food.
Yeah. Anyway, so we ate at La Comida, and Tony and I both got Siempre Caliente margaritas, which were very hot, spicy hot.
Well, caliente means hot.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just dumped like a big thing of Tabasco in there, but it was quite hot. And Tony won't want me to say this, but he was caught diluting his drink.
Id you catch him or somebody?
No, I didn't catch him. It might have been Rue. I can't remember who it was. But hey, Tony, what So
what was he putting in there to dilute?
I don't know. Probably just water, or something. I don't know. More booze. I don't know. But
more tequila.
It was hot.
More tequila. Maybe he wasn't diluting it. Maybe he just needed more tequila.
That's right. Yeah, it could have been. Anyway, I got the carne asada tacos. I thought they were very good. So it was a good meal. Yeah. So yeah.
You got good Mexican food in Vegas. That's nice.
Yeah.
In the middle of the desert.
Yeah, I was pleased. So then after that, some of us walked over to Binions to Vato Cigars. And I've had maybe 2 cigars in my life, right? Probably bachelor party cigars, right? So I certainly don't know my cigars. So we headed over there and got some advice on some cigars that we should get. I picked out something that they said would be mild. I think it was like their Las Vegas blend. I think it was called a Sir Winston.
Sir Winston. It sounds official. It sounds hoity-toity.
I think that's what it was. So we went over to the lounge there and smoked. And it's funny because at one point Tony was saying, now what is everybody tasting? What is everybody, what are the sensations you're getting from these cigars? And I kind of turned to the guy next to me. It's like, well, it's burning leaves.
Burning tobacco?
I've got no taste for that. I honestly, I'm breathing it in and thinking, okay, try to sense something, apple, cinnamon, or vinegar. What are the things that
you're
people...
like me with wine. People always say that. How did the wine taste? Well, it tasted like wine. I don't know. It's going to give me a headache. That's all I know.
So I'm probably not sold on cigars, but the whole experience was great because, it was a nice lounge and big comfy chairs, and we were smoking, watching the baseball game, and just having good conversation about Vegas. So the whole experience was great.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're there for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then after that, I headed over to the D for the World Series of Casino Satin Jackets contest and kind of watched that for a little while. I headed up to my room real quick. And then you came back downtown and we headed over to the Undercard.
Right.
At the D showroom. And that was the Vegas Tripping guys did kind of a freewheeling version of their show. And Misnomer did his poorly researched history of Las Vegas like he did last year, and that was hilarious. And Tim Dressen went up and did an on-demand rant session. And then after that, it was the 5 hundog eating contest, but we didn't go to that. I was too knocked out at that point. Yeah. And I understand it kind of rained on them too. I think some of it was like outside, so they had to kind of go inside.
Rain
so we didn't see
off
that.
And on. We never were in any of it.
We were never really in it, but on like Sunday morning, it was pouring outside.
Yeah, it was pouring, but we were oblivious to the whole rain thing.
Yeah. Anyway, that was Friday night. We went to bed. So the next morning we got up and headed over to the Golden Gate again for our second craps meetup. And it was too bad because when we got there, the open table, only half the table was open.
It only had a dealer and a stick man and a box man.
Yeah. And I was really surprised because it was the same time as the day before.
This was a Saturday.
This was a Saturday. The day before had been a Friday. I might have understood like if it had been the other way around, like it was a half table on Friday and a full table on Saturday.
Right. Well, maybe from experience, people are pretty hungover from Friday.
Yeah, maybe that's
and nobody's up early Saturday.
But anyway, once again, I did a crap session on the empty table. It was more crowded than the day before.
Yeah, there were a lot more people. Yeah. I actually stopped. I felt guilty. I was playing. I stopped and came over and kind of stood in the back and, answered a few questions from some other people because it was so many people there. I thought, can they even hear Mark? I mean, there were so many.
I know. I was trying to stay in the middle and be as loud as possible, because the music was playing and everything. But that went very well. Unfortunately, though, after the lesson was over, it's not like we could all then go over to the open table and play.
No,
it was too crowded.
That table
already.
Was almost full.
It was full of like non-VIMFers. A lot of them were, right?
Just people.
Yeah. But that wasn't too bad because then at 11 o'clock, Derek Stevens gave us the tour of the Las Vegas Club, closed down Las Vegas Club.
Right.
So we talked about it on our bingo podcast, but it was great because when we went in there, he said, yeah, take pictures, Periscope. Pick if you see anything you like, pick it up, and if it's
take
okay,
whatever
take
you want.
Yeah. What did we get? We got a
couple of posters,
like big wooden, like long posters.
Yeah, of they were about craps. That's why we liked it.
Yeah, they had like a woman there holding like a couple of dice, and it was like one of their promotional things, like get double points on Thursdays or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Oh no. It was something where they're giving away on Saturdays. It was something on Saturdays. They give away so many thousands of dollars each Saturday.
Yeah, something like that.
So Mark's going to put it up in his little poker room down here.
That's right. Yep.
We're broadcasting, and then the poker guys will have to show up on Saturday.
That's right.
It was like, what was it? For every point you earn, you get 500 entries or something.
Yeah.
So you'll have to, after a poker night, you earned 1/8,000th of a point.
That's right. I'll tell you weren't in very many pots tonight, Mary. So unfortunately, you haven't earned an entry in this Saturday's drawing. Maybe next week.
Try again next week.
But and then each of us got like a little slot ticket payout, right?
Yeah,
there was just lying around. Mine's for like 15 cents.
Yeah, mine was for 9 cents or something.
And we would have loved to have they had one of those. They had a bunch of slot chairs. Sitting around.
They had a Wheel of Fortune chair.
Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune slots actually have custom chairs that say Wheel of Fortune on the back. Yeah.
God, it was so heavy.
Yeah.
If it wasn't as heavy, I would have snagged that and thrown it in my car. My parents were there with my brother and sister and brother-in-law, and they had my Suburban.
Yeah, so they had driven over.
Yeah, so we could have just thrown that in the back. The thing was just way too heavy to even carry out of the casino.
Oh, that would have been great, though, if we would have just been taking that out. Yeah. I don't know if we would have been allowed to take that. Only
I don't know.
But who
he
knows?
said take whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Some of the VIMFers, including Matt, they apparently found like the gift shop supply closet or something. Yeah. They found quite a booty, and Matt came away with a real nice jacket, a Las Vegas Club
nice
jacket. Yeah. So that was great. And it was great to kind of take a tour of the place. And then it was great because right after that was the main event. We brought donuts to the main event. Yeah. And we recommend people do that if there is a VIMF next year because you get priority seating.
Priority seating with donuts.
Yeah. So, we got in there real quick, got some nice seats. First up was Vegas Gang, and they interviewed Derek Stevens. That was a great interview.
That was a good interview. Yeah. He's such a great interview and very candid. That's what I liked.
Exactly. Yes.
He just said, look, this is what I want to do. And, it was very just like a regular guy.
Yep. And then Tim and Michelle did their show, 5 Honey by Midnight, and you can hear that. They've already posted that on their feed. And then after that, it was Match Game. And one of the celebrities on the Match Game panel was the gazillionaire from Absinthe.
Yeah, how did they get him?
I don't know. That was quite a coup, and he was hilarious.
He was very funny. Yeah. He was the funniest part of the whole thing, really.
So, that reminds me too. The Match Game, the whole Match Game, in addition to the undercard with Vegas Tripping and Misnomer, the Vegas Tripping guys posted that as podcast episodes. So if you go to the Vegas Tripping podcast feed, you can see the undercard, you can listen to the undercard and Match Game, get that whole thing, get the whole feel for it.
Yeah. It was quite entertaining, actually.
Yeah. So after the main event, you and I, we actually headed over to Binions first and played some craps with your family for a little bit.
Right.
And that Binions experience was okay.
You're right. That experience was good. We actually won, and things were going well there.
And we'll talk about another Binions experience here in a little bit. Then we decided to go to Main Street Station because we had not been there in many years. Certainly had not played craps there in a long time.
And they had 20 times odds.
20
so
times
we wanted
odds.
to go for that.
Yeah.
And there were quite a few people who went with us.
Yeah, some listeners came over, and so we were playing there for a little while. And, you know, unfortunately, you could kind of get a sense of the vibe that was going on at the table. And I'm not talking about like the dice and the numbers coming up, but I'm talking about the crew.
It was like they were all having a bad day at the same time.
Yeah, and in particular the boxman. We talked about it on our bingo show, but he was surly, and it was just, let's get out of here. So we did not stay there very long.
No.
Which was unfortunate. I don't see us ever going back there. Why wouldn't we?
No, you know,
because
it's kind of out of the way.
Over there, You know, if it had been a good experience, we'd go back, but I don't plan on going back there.
There were some unfortunate, it's just not the best walk.
Yeah. So anyway, we went over to Golden Gate, and of course that was great again, you know, so we had a good time there playing there for a little while. So, all right. So that night, you and I drove back down to the Strip to meet up with your family.
My family was all there. They had gone to a show.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they saw, but they had a good time at whatever show it was.
Yeah. So we had dinner at BLT Steak at Bally's. All of us there, and that was a great meal.
It was a very good meal. The steaks were excellent. We both had fillets.
Yeah, I'd have to say, maybe not the best steak I've had in Las Vegas, but certainly the best filet mignon I've had in Las Vegas.
Yeah, very good filet mignon.
And did you get Caesar salad as well?
Yes, I got Caesar salad.
I did too. That was good too. I love Caesar salad.
Yeah,
That's one of the best I've had.
It was a large Caesar salad too.
Yeah.
I was surprised the size of it.
Yeah. Impeccable service. The only unfortunate thing, and we didn't find out about this till the next day, was apparently your sister got real sick that night.
Yeah, she got real sick that night, and she was the only one.
Yeah, the only one.
The only one. And the only thing she had different than everyone else was she had a wedge salad.
Right.
With blue cheese dressing. But you had blue cheese and you didn't get sick.
Well, I had a blue cheese topping for the steak, so it wasn't exactly the dressing.
Right.
But you and I were talking off mic. It could have been the wedge salad,
The wedge salad, yeah, because you know it's just a chunk.
Right.
It's like you took a head of lettuce and just cut it in half.
Yeah, and if they didn't clean it well.
Yeah, if it may not be cleaned well, and you get some weird bacteria that you're not used to.
Yeah. So we highly recommend BLT Steak at Bally's. Just keep in mind you might get food poisoning.
Yeah, that's the only downside.
Yeah, that's the only caveat.
Downside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for me, that's not so bad.
I'll risk it.
Yeah, because you're in Vegas.
You're in Vegas.
You're going to be on the toilet a lot anyway.
That's right.
So
go for it.
Yeah.
So then we headed back downtown for the VIMFP After-Afterparty at the Golden Gate, and we were playing craps, and everybody was there after the concert. We didn't go to the concert.
No.
But everybody was there and playing. I played a little Ultimate Texas Hold'em with Matt for a little bit, just because I knew we were going to be doing it in the tournament the next day.
You lost at that.
Yeah, lost. And then we came back to the craps table, and then we got in the middle of a roll that Victor was having.
He had a monster roll.
Yeah.
He had the best roll of the whole trip, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a huge roll.
Yeah, that was
It was
great.
a $3,500 roll for me.
Nice. Yeah. And I mean, that was responsible for you being up for the most of the trip, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, $3,500 right there.
Now, it was funny because at Golden Gate, the D and Golden Gate, they have dancing dealers at night, right? These attractive women that are in skimpy clothes, and sometimes they dance, and then when they're done dancing, they come down and deal the games. So Victor's having that great roll, so we started waving at some of the dealers.
Yeah. I told Mark, I said, I can get that girl that she was dealing roulette. I said, watch, I can get her to wave at me.
Yes, right.
And I'm just like wildly waving.
Right.
She's clueless about what I'm waving about.
Yeah, right. But eventually she did wave back.
Right.
And she was clearly creeped out.
Yeah.
That's when you're a man of a certain age, it's easy to creep out female dealers.
Especially young female dealers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think you did a pretty good job of it because she looked at us, she was like, what the? I actually went over to kind of say, yeah, sorry. We're just, we're being stupid,
we're
right?
Just stupid around.
So I hope she wasn't too creeped out. All right. And then I kind of called it an early night because I knew we were doing our show the next day and I wanted to try to stay fresh. This whole time.
You need your sleep.
Yeah, I need my sleep. And I wasn't drinking as much as I did last year because I'm thinking we've still got our show to do, right? Plus we got to wake up for the tournament. So.
Meanwhile, I think that large roll by Victor was responsible for me losing my voice.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of screaming on that roll. And after that, I had no voice at all.
All right, so back to bed, and then the next morning we woke up, headed back over to Golden Gate for the VIMF Hangover Casino Challenge Cup. And initially, I was just going to do it.
Yeah.
But then I talked you into doing it, so we both participated in the cup.
Right.
It was a $250 entry fee, and there were 3 games that you had to play: blackjack, 3-card poker, and Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And there were 3 rounds. So each round, you'd be at one of the games.
Those, right.
Right, exactly. So, like for the first round, I was on blackjack. You were on 3-card poker the first round?
I was on 3-card poker,
Yep.
and then I was on the Ultimate Texas, and then blackjack was my finale.
Right. And I started on blackjack, then 3-card poker, and ended on Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And when we were talking in between rounds, we were saying, boy, you really kind of want to be on blackjack on that last round.
Because it's easiest to make a move on that.
It's just one bet. You know,
Right.
with 3-card poker, and especially with Ultimate Texas Hold'em,
Right.
there are different bets that you have to make. You know, it's
Right.
not like you just put it all out there on one bet. You know?
Right, and it's hard to know what you should do. But
Right.
whereas blackjack, you just put it all out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope to get a good hand.
So we did okay on the first 2 rounds, and then the final round you were on blackjack, and I was between hands, I was getting up and looking over and seeing what was going on at the blackjack table. But there were some big moves being made at your table, right?
Yeah, right. People were winning quite a bit. And I got down to where there were 3 hands left of blackjack. I think they dealt 20 hands total. Got down to 3 hands left, and I said, okay, I'm going to make a move.
Yeah.
Because I basically had about the same amount of money I'd started with.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, I got to make a move. So I bet everything.
Yeah.
I bet the whole thing.
Yeah.
On the hand number 17.
Out of 20. Okay.
Out of 20, yeah. And I got an ace.
For your first card?
First card. I'm thinking, come on, blackjack. Come on, black. Had I got blackjack there, you know, I'm more than double, and I'm in great shape, and I could probably then just maybe bet half of that amount on the next hand and hope to win that and make the final table.
Yeah.
My second card was a deuce.
Yeah.
Ace and a deuce.
Yeah.
Now, the dealer did not have a 10 up. They had like an 8 or something.
Okay.
So I still could have beat him. I
Sure.
mean, I still could have, outdrawn him.
Yeah.
But I had to hit. And I ended up I ended up busting.
Oh, yeah,
So-
okay, yeah. So,
But, I mean, I had a chance. But that's how my tournament ended.
Okay.
And a couple other people went out on that.
yeah,
One of the guys, I believe his name was Gordon, he actually did the same thing like the next hand and got blackjack.
yeah. See,
And then he bet again the next hand and got a winning hand. I got 20 or something. And I think he ended up with the highest amount of chips.
yeah. Going into the final table, he was the chip leader. Although at the final table, it was all everybody who made the final table started over. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But he came back. I mean, he was basically where I was at one point, and he just got lucky on those last 2 hands.
Yeah. So, so that was, you went out on that. Now I was at Ultimate Texas Hold'em for my final round, and it came down to the last hand. And I was kind of hearing what was going on at the blackjack table, and it was clear to me that in order to have enough chips to get to the final table, I was going to have to make my move.
You're going to have to bet it all.
So Ultimate Texas Hold'em. So I calculated exactly how much I had to bet on each spot to get all my money out there. Right. And so I got it all out there, and I was dealt a king queen, which is great because that's a hand you're going to play even not blind. You're going to play that.
You're
if you look at them, this is
your
my
own
hand.
money. Right.
And it was so great because the flop gave me a gut shot straight draw, and I made my straight. So I got a straight at the end, got a nice payoff there. The dealer didn't qualify, but I got enough, on the other bets to
on the bonus bet, you got paid on that too.
Right, yeah. So we all cashed out, then we kind of took a little break, and then they announced who made the final table, and I just eked in 5th place.
Just barely.
They said it was very close, and so had I not made that move and gotten lucky, I wouldn't have made the final table. So then we sat at the final table. Again, there were 5 of us at the final table, and we started all over. We all started
4
with,
were going to get paid. The 5th place was going to get nothing.
That's right. 4th
got their money back,
right,
and then so on till first.
Yep. And this trophy, oh my gosh, they had this huge, beautiful trophy.
Oh God, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I expected some rinky-dink little cup or something. It was this huge trophy that was very heavy.
Yes, it
very well put together.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent some money on this. I mean, it was not cheap.
Yeah, no, it looked great. Well, it started out, and I decided my strategy was going to be, I'm going to bet the minimum, basically, hope that the dealer just gets real hot, and people just, get wiped out.
Right.
That
and
was my plan.
That actually is the best blackjack strategy for tournament play.
I think so. I mean, you have to adjust as the tournament goes on. You see
if somebody
what happens,
starts drawing getting some big hands and getting a big lead, you obviously have to go out there and play.
Right.
But initially, I think it's the smartest thing to do is to let everyone else bust.
Yep. Yeah. So we played for a while, and I was kind of getting lucky, and sometimes anyway, we played for a little while. We one person went out. So I was guaranteed at least money back. So I was going to be in the top 4.
Right.
And then it came down to, I think it was the second to the last hand.
Second to the last hand.
Yeah, second to last hand.
And I turned to...
I'd been betting the minimum pretty much every hand.
Yeah. The only time you bet more than the minimum was when you were on the button.
That's right. And I bet like 100. It was like twice as much as the minimum, just to mess with people. Yeah.
Right. And so I turned to the guy standing behind me. There was a couple people, and I said, okay, Mark, if he's going to play this right, he's going to bet everything out there on this hand, hoping to win this hand, and then he'll have to go first next time, but he'll have such a huge stack, he'll basically force the other people to bet their whole stack and hope they bust.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
and I didn't hear that.
No,
right?
no,
you're telling him that,
way back
and I'm
from
looking
the
at the whole situation, and so I'm thinking the same thing. It's like I have one choice here, and that's to put all my chips out there.
That's the only choice you really
have. And so
had.
I put it out there, and you were real glad that I did.
Oh, I was. Everyone's looking at me like, "How'd you know?" I'm like, "Well, that's the only thing he could do to get to win."
Yeah.
So yeah, and unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't remember if I busted or didn't hit. I lost the hand.
You lost the hand. You had a decent hand, but I think the dealer had a better
something
hand.
like that.
Yeah.
But see, I mean, this is how much luck plays in a short tournament like this, because the ultimate winner on that same hand, he got blackjack.
Right.
So
for a small amount.
Right.
He just had a small amount of money.
I could have gotten blackjack, and then suddenly I've got this.
Well,
huge
or
lead
even
right
if you just won that hand, he hadn't bet very much.
Yeah.
You would have surpassed him, and so the final hand, he would have had to bet all his money to overtake you.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, I went out and Rico went out on the same hand. He had fewer chips going into that hand, so he ended up taking 4th place. I got 3rd place, $370 for the $250 entry fee. And then there was one more hand played, and they actually had to count it out a couple of times. It was so close.
Well, they counted it wrong the first time.
I think going into the hand, they counted it wrong.
Yeah, and that kind of, because the way it turned out, I said, oh, well, this guy won, but it turned out they had counted it wrong, and then the leader was the chip leader.
Yeah, it wouldn't really have mattered, though, in the end, the way that the bets go. But congratulations to Dram for coming in second, and for Jason for winning the inaugural cup, getting that big, huge trophy to take
I hope
home,
he brings that back next year.
I know, yeah.
And just sits it in front of him, right? I'm the cup holder.
Yeah, exactly.
You go through me.
So after that, since I made the final table, it was getting kind of late. And by then it was 1:00, basically an hour before we were supposed to head over to bingo and do our show. And I said, Mike, we really need to sit down and kind of talk about, our agenda here.
Yeah, because as usual, we were unprepared.
I had taken some notes because I figured, well, what are we going to talk about? We'll talk about things that happened to us on the trip. So I had been taking notes, but we hadn't really sat down to talk about it. So we said, okay, let's head over to Golden Nugget. We'll go to the grill there. It's kind of like their deli area.
Yeah.
We'll get a sandwich. We'll sit down and, we'll go over this because you had eaten there the day before.
Yeah,
you said
it's
it was
good,
really
very good food. Yeah.
Well, what we had not taken into account is
it's football Sunday.
It was NFL Sunday, and the grill is right next to their sports book.
Right.
So it was packed. So I said, all right, I was starving because I hadn't anything all day. I said, let's just go over to McDonald's at the D, just get something quick so we can get something in our bodies, and we'll go over the show notes. So that's what we did. So about 1:30, about a half hour before showtime, we went in there, and Hunter was getting things set up, and there was nobody there, and nobody was in line, and we're like, oh my gosh, is anybody
going to show up? We're thinking everyone went home because it's Sunday.
Yeah, right. So, but no, to our delight, by the time it was 2:00, the showroom was virtually full.
Yeah.
The seating was a little different from the main event. So
because they had to have tables for bingo, so people could play bingo.
So there certainly were not as many people as there the day before, but it was a nice crowd. It was so great to see everybody come out. And so we're sitting there and we're playing bingo. We got some bingo cards. So Chuck was reading off the bingo numbers, and he asked Denton, Dallas, and Beyond to come up and do their show. we thought we might be going on first, but it's like, oh, phew, we can watch them.
We can see how they did. Right? They did great.
Oh, they did. I know, straight out. And Sparkles played bingo the whole time she was up there, too.
Right.
So I don't know how she did that.
She's got some savant when it comes to that because, I could barely talk. I could barely play bingo when I was just playing bingo.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So this was great because we got a sense for, what it was going to be like doing the show with, Chuck reading out bingo numbers the whole time. So yeah, they did a fantastic job. So, but as they're going through it, I'm thinking, oh, Mike, I think we've got too many topics to talk about. With bingo going on and everything, I don't think we're going to be able to get as much in there as normal. So I was going through and let's not talk about daily fantasy sports, right? Let's just skip that, So okay, we'll do that. So we went up. And as it turns out, we actually ran shorter than we expected
because we were talking away, mostly because you wouldn't let Chuck call any bingo numbers out. You were talking so fast, he couldn't get a bingo number in.
I know. Well, the thing was, there were a couple of things that I think contributed to it. First of all, your voice was shot.
Yeah, my voice was hoarse.
You had even said, Mark, you better do most of the talking. So it's like, okay. Also, we didn't want to stay on a single subject for too long or to tell a long story because people are playing bingo, so their attention is being diverted every once in a while. So, we didn't do that. Also, I was worried that we were kind of holding up the event. Right. Because originally we were told, well, we've got to be out of there by 3.
Right, because they have a show in that showroom.
Right, they had to turn it around.
They had to
exactly.
clear all the tables out and set everything up for the show.
And so I'm out of the corner of my eye. I'm looking, oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten to the blackout bingo yet, which of course is going to take the longest.
Right.
And then, when Chuck was, trying to get bingo calls in there, I thought, okay, we better wrap this up. So anyway, it turned out to be kind of a shorter episode than we expected, but I think we got through it okay.
Yeah, we got through it all right.
Yeah. I'll say this, if we're ever asked back, and that's a big if. That's very presumptuous.
That's a huge if, yeah. Because now they've seen us. And they're running, I don't know.
All the VIMP people have seen us. Oh, that's Mark and Dr. Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'm glad I came to... If they do ask us back, I think what we need to do is just come up with a much bigger list of kind of short things to talk about,
right.
and then we'll go through it that way. But thank you again for everybody who stayed for bingo.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
so much fun, yeah.
The best part was that when we got called up there to do our show, we were in the middle of a bingo game, and Mark only needed B3. So when we sat down, he says, oh yeah, I just needed B3. And so I, in the microphone, said B3.
Right.
And everyone's thinking that's Chuck calling out B3.
Yeah.
And so the table we were on, a couple of listeners were sitting there with us and they had taken our cards.
Yeah. So
when I yelled out B3, bingo,
Mark won.
Mark won.
And they're like, what? And I look behind me and B3 is not on the board.
And then I have to real sheepishly say, oh, that was me. That said B3.
That was Mike just trying to cheat. Yeah.
It was worth a try, right? We almost got it.
Oh, but that was so much fun. So anyway, after that, basically VIMF was over. Well, it turns out we were actually allowed to stay there till 3:20, 3:25.
Right, yeah.
So Chuck continued to do it, and we got through the blackout and everything.
Yeah. Chuck gave my dad a shirt.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And my dad was just tickled to death that he got this shirt. He just thought that was the greatest. It was one of the shirts that somebody had got from the
Las Vegas Club?
The Las Vegas
nice,
Club.
Nice. So that was over. So we were trying to decide what we were going to do. I know we were planning on going to the Strip eventually during the night. But at first, we just went over to the Golden Nugget. We thought, well, we'll play a little bit here, and maybe we'll watch the end of the Charger game.
Right.
And so we played a little bit at Golden Nugget. It was terrible.
Yeah, we were on two different
tables, and they were both bad.
They were both bad, yeah.
Well, I was with you for a while, and then I moved over to the other table with the other guys. It was so bad there, I actually switched over to the Dome. I think Victor did too. We switched over to the Dome for a while,
right?
Which was just and then just got wiped out. So it was kind of nice though, because it's like, okay, let's just finish here. Let's watch the end of the Charger game. So we were able to watch the end of the Charger game. Phillip Rivers had the best game of his career. It was very exciting to see him, have such a great day of football with his best game ever.
506 yards.
Yeah. Wasn't that something, Mike?
Then they lost.
And they still lost.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not even going to talk about that because if anyone wants to know the truth about the Chargers, I can talk for an hour.
Let's not
do
it.
They're terrible.
Let's not do it. The only other thing I'll say is that they came so close to beating Green Bay at Lambeau Field,
right.
and then they come back the next week at home and get embarrassed by the Raiders.
Embarrassed. It's ridiculous. 33-6 at one point.
And you were smart enough to take the Raiders in our football pool, and you won the pool.
And I won the pool. And I'm going to take Baltimore this week to beat the Chargers in Baltimore. Even though Baltimore's only got one win on the season, the Chargers are pathetic.
All right. So now we decided to go down to the Strip. We went down to the Strip with Matt and Victor. Matt went with us and Victor drove separately. We went down to Paris. You guys immediately went to the tables. I called my wife and I found a night, in the check-in area at Paris, they have phone booths. Kind of like little rooms,
right.
Phone booths.
Private booths.
Yeah, right. That, who uses them anymore. But it was nice because I was able to go in there and just, have a nice conversation with my wife and, it was quiet. And
it was clean?
It looked clean enough.
Yeah, I don't know. A private booth in Vegas doesn't sound clean to me.
But it was nice because I was able to talk to her about, how our show had gone and all that. And so after that, I went to meet up with you guys. Now, this whole trip, I had really been taking it easy.
Right.
I had not been drinking as much. Usually on a Vegas trip, I bring all this crap junk food to the room and I'm like munching on chips and candy and everything before bed like an idiot. And then I feel horrible.
Yeah.
Well, finally it's like our last night there and at midnight it was going to be my birthday. So said,
you felt you should feel horrible.
I think now I need to let loose.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to feel horrible.
So we played at Paris for a little while and that was no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, the crew was good enough, I guess. They were nice enough.
They were nice. And everything was okay other than we just weren't getting any rolls.
Right. So we said, let's go eat and then maybe we'll head over to the Cromwell because we've always had good crews at the Cromwell.
Right. And one of our old friends deals there, so we were hoping to run into him.
Yeah, exactly. So we went and ate at Burger Brasserie, which is actually technically part of Paris, but is actually right there next to the...
Yeah, it's right at the junction of Paris and Bally's.
It's right by the Bally's Casino, yeah. So that was good. I had a good burger. And I had another Caesar salad that was excellent.
Yeah, it was very good food. Yeah, it was very good food.
So after that, we headed over to the Cromwell, and that's where Ryan and Becky met up with us. So it was you, me, Matt, Victor, Ryan, and Becky playing at the Cromwell. And this is where things kind of turned around for Sunday night. Yeah. So, right away, the crew is good. I love it because they introduce themselves to you right away. They don't have name tags, which is a little annoying, if you forget their names.
Right. But, which is terrible for us because I remember it for 2 seconds.
Right. But it was great. Even though one of the dealers, she was obviously new. Yeah. We actually kind of had to help her out. But, everybody was so nice. It's like, that's fine.
That's fine. Right.
Yeah. So we were playing there. We actually hit the fire bet for 4 numbers.
Right.
It's funny because we didn't play a lot. That's probably why you actually were doing so well the first part of the trip is you didn't have side bets to bet on. Right. Because they don't have the fire bet or the features bet at Golden Gate or the D.
No, right? There was none of that. Yeah.
So we actually didn't play much of the fire bet at all this trip. And this was the only fire bet we hit just for 4 numbers. But, at least
we were on a 5th.
Were we? We went
we were on a 5th.
Oh, that's right.
We were on the 5th. We didn't make it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
And it was like an easy number, like an 8 or something.
Yeah. So we were having a good time, and I was ordering drinks, and I was saying to Victor and Matt, what should I drink? And they said, oh, just get a Maker's.
Well, he was getting a Long Island iced tea, and you were complaining it was watered down.
Yeah, they always water them down.
Yeah. So they said, well, just get straight, whiskey or beer.
Yeah, I did have a beer, and then I started getting these Maker's Mark on ice, and I was downing those as quick as I could. Oh, they were nasty.
Yeah, that's what you were saying.
Oh, it's like, this is disgusting. And they're saying,
what? You
should have
diluted it with a little tequila.
Yeah, I should have, or some Tabasco or something.
Right.
So anyway, but it did the trick. So I was having a good enough time. And, we got to mention something, too. I've never seen this at a table before. They have this little mechanism. I hope I can describe it right.
It's weird looking. It's sci-fi-ish is what it is. It's sci-fi-ish.
But they've got this thing on the table that helps them count the number of rolls per hour.
Right.
I guess they're keeping track just
to make sure the game's moving.
I guess. Yeah.
The dealers didn't seem too, altogether fired up about doing that, but I guess they were forced to.
I didn't see them ever forget to do it. No, but all they had to do, there was just this little lammer here. They'd move it off of this area where there were these little lights. They'd move it off and move it back on again.
Yeah.
And somehow that activated a clicker.
The lights, probably was keeping track of it.
Yeah, and it just kept track of it. That's all we saw of it. We didn't, there were no numbers or anything to see for ourselves how many, but they were, doing that very diligently. Yeah. And then at one point, didn't somebody say to you, they've got those pamphlets at the cashier that say, when the fun stops, right? Yeah. It's, if you've got like a gambling problem.
Right.
And somebody said to you, yeah, Dr. Mike, you need to make your own pamphlet that says when the fun starts.
When the fun starts. As I was saying that, now the fun's starting. Now we're having some fun.
That's right. Now what do you do? What does the pamphlet do? Say to do when the fun starts.
Yeah, we were having a good time. Yeah. I don't know. It was just the six of us, and we were goofing around quite a bit.
It was very fun. So as things started to kind of cool down at the Cromwell, it's like, well, where should we go? Where should we go? And then somebody suggested Bellagio.
Right.
And it's like, yes, let's head over to Bellagio. Right. Now, when we were walking over there, I didn't see this, but did you see this happen?
Yeah, the escalator liquor?
Yeah.
Yeah. We were walking over there.
Yeah.
And we were going down an escalator.
Yeah.
And a guy and a couple of girls were going up another escalator. He got on the escalator and looked at the girls and then leaned over and licked the handrail. I mean, his tongue touched the handrail. It wasn't like he was close. It actually touched the handrail. And everyone on ours going down who saw that started going, ooh.
It was a loud ooh. An outdoor escalator in Las Vegas. I don't even want to touch one of those.
Yeah, right. I try not to even get close to it for fear that something will jump off onto me. And this guy licked it. So he obviously had wanted to gross the girls out or bet him he would lick it. Yeah. And then he had a beer in his hand. So then he guzzled some beer and swished it around. I saw him swish it around and put it on his lips like that was going to kill it. He needed some of that Maker's Mark because that beer is not going to do it. There's not enough alcohol content.
I guess I'm glad I didn't see that. Well, we went over to Bellagio, but the limits were just too high, even for all the tables that they had. I think it was like all $25 tables.
Yeah, right. It was all 25.
So we decided to take the tram over to Monte Carlo, where Ryan and Becky happened to be staying. And we went over there, and there were...
You got in a separate tram.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was the same tram, but a different car.
A different car.
So you guys are probably thinking,
oh my God.
The 5 of us
got in one car. You got in another one. And we were all, I immediately turned to him and said, let's just get off right now before it leaves and go to another casino. Leave Mark and Monte Carlo.
It's my birthday. So we got off the tram. We went into Monte Carlo, went over to the craps area. There was an empty table there. But it was a $15 table. There was another table over on the other side, but it was an empty one, but it was $15.
Yeah.
So Victor, very wisely, just went up and said, hey, you're empty. We're here to play. Can we play for $10?
Yeah, there's 6 of us. So,
yeah.
You know.
And the boxman said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, boom,
like
that.
Yeah, he was very, very pleasant.
Yeah, so sure. Smart move on Victor's part. And it's great that the boxman didn't, let me check or just, let's play. If I say no, are you going to leave? Yeah, we'll leave.
Yeah.
So we played there for a little while and actually went fairly good for some time.
Yeah.
And then it was getting close to midnight, which was my birthday. And so Becky said, I'll go get you something to eat. I think McDonald's is the only thing open. And I said, okay, yeah, I'll take a Big Mac. And she went to McDonald's and came back with all this food.
She brought a big old bag of food back, not just your Big Mac. I mean,
she brought a bunch of stuff for everybody.
A bunch of cheeseburgers.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear for everybody who's listening. We ate at McDonald's twice on a trip to Las Vegas.
We were kind of forced to eat both times. At one, it was like by default, we had no choice. And this one was, Becky wanted to buy you something.
It was the only place open, right?
So she had to buy you a Big Mac.
Oh, my God. Anyway, so that kind of ended the night there. And
this is where we should end the show, really. It should just end right now. Okay, at midnight on Mark's birthday, we ate Big Macs at a craps table at the Monte Carlo.
Yeah, that should be it.
Show ends.
That's all right. You're right. Be sure to check out our TV listings. No, it's true. We should stop there because, unfortunately, as we go on here, it turns out we did not have a Mark's birthday like we did last year, right?
Well, since Becky and Ryan were staying there, they stayed at Monte Carlo,
right?
And we left, said goodbye to them, had a great time with them.
Yep. We just took a cab back to Paris where our car was.
Yeah, you guys wanted to walk, and I said, no, we're taking a cab.
Well, I didn't want to walk. I wanted to take the tram, but all right, we took a cab. All right, that was fine.
I just didn't want to go that far.
That was fine,
So we took a tram to Paris.
No, took a cab
to
Paris, yes.
To Paris, where our team. And then we talked a little bit with Victor and Matt.
Yeah.
And then said our goodbyes.
Yep, said, okay,
you and I got in our car.
Yep.
We had valeted, got in our car,
We were going to head downtown.
We were going to head back downtown to our rooms. We got on the freeway, and I had to go to the bathroom so bad. It was the McDonald's.
But we were just right there at Paris. You could have, before
I didn't have to go there. Right. As soon as we got in that car, and it was a little bumpy, and maybe it's something about a Nissan Maxima.
Maybe. But did you have the right gear in?
Yeah, the gear was fine. But as soon as we hit the freeway, I had to go to the bathroom so darn bad. And I told Mark, I don't think I can make it. And I didn't want the trip to end like that. So, it's the last day. I'm down to my last pair of underwear anyway.
Sure.
So we stopped at the Rio.
Yeah, we just went right across the freeway and stopped at the Rio.
We're laughing because we're like, we told Matt.
Good night. Oh, we're going straight to bed. But instead we went over to the Rio.
Which was a mistake. Not because of the bathroom. The bathroom was good.
Yeah, the bathroom was good. But since we were there, we might as well play. Yeah, we're there.
We went out of our way to go there. So we went to I went to the bathroom anyway. And then we played at the Rio. It did not go so well at the Rio.
Like 15 minutes and went terrible.
We didn't play long or much. Yeah. It was just like, I've never liked the Rio that much.
I know what you mean, yeah.
It's just kind of dumpy, I guess.
Yeah.
So we played for a few minutes, then we headed back and we went back and went to bed.
Yeah, went back and went to bed. Yeah. So, all right, so the final morning, my birthday morning, I wake up, I'm walking over to the Golden Nugget to meet up with Mike, and I called my wife, and she said it sounded like I'd had a stroke. I think I'd done everything correct up till that Sunday night, and then I went all out and I paid for it on.
But you always sound like you had a stroke. My wife says that to me every morning. Did you have a stroke last night?
Are you okay? So anyway, I met up with Mike and we walked over to Binions to play some craps. So let's mix it up a little bit because you played a little bit at Golden Nugget that morning and wasn't going very well. So we went over to Binions and we said, well, this will be good. We went to their outside table there and it was $3 minimum in the morning. And I think it's 5 times odds. So I'm thinking, great, I'm going to bet $3 and take full odds.
Which you did.
Yeah. So only half the table was open.
Yeah.
And you got the dice to start with.
Right. It was just us two. And then the 2 women came up who had followed us from the Nugget.
Yeah.
Followed me from the Nugget.
But you started rolling and you kind of were doing your high arched roll. Right. And one of the dealers said, please hit the back wall, sir, or something like that.
Yeah.
Not pleasantly, but
it's funny because I'd hit the back wall every time.
Yeah,
they were just kind of high arching. They'd hit the table, roll against the back wall, and come back.
Yeah, and this one, hadn't gotten there all the way. Right. And they were very quick to, please hit the
one
back
of the
wall.
die. The other die got there. One just was a little short.
Yeah. And, their attitude about it was like, we're the enemy.
Right.
Like, oh, great, you showed up to play craps.
They didn't say it pleasantly. And I understand if a guy consistently isn't hitting the back wall.
Right.
Like he had, every roll is not hitting it. Then he says something, okay, I understand. But it's just us two. So it's not like it affected anybody else on the table. Because sometimes they're doing that because people want to see the dice move a little, right?
Right.
But no, he said it with a pretty crappy attitude.
Yeah, and then when I got the dice, I'm hitting the back wall, but at one point mine kind of went a little bit to the right.
Yeah.
And he said, straight down the middle, sir.
Yeah, he said straight down the middle. And there's nobody on that other side. There's no chips to hit. There's nothing to mess up.
God, and so, we're thinking, we're out of here. And we're thinking, this is Binions.
Right.
This is the old horseshoe. This is where Benny Binion
would be rolling in his grave.
He's spinning in his grave.
If a dealer said down the middle, sir, when there's only 2 guys on the table.
God, it made us feel terrible.
Yeah, it was really poor.
Yeah, awful. So,
it's funny because customer service in any business, in my business, your business, any business, customer service is so important. And, you've got 2 guys there and we're playing a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
I wasn't gambling with a little bit of money. I'm playing quarters, with full odds and stuff. Don't you think they would have just be nice to these guys? Maybe they'll stay here all day. Maybe we'll get some tips and stuff. Yeah. No, it's like they wanted to run us away.
It really was awful. So we left. I guess that's what they wanted.
They got what they wanted.
We went over to Golden Gate once again, like night and day. The deal. Hey, how's it going this morning? The boxman, is excited to see us. The music's playing. We're having a good time. Hey, they're cheering us when we're making points. So we played there for a little while. I don't think it went actually very well there either. And it was getting close to time when we needed to leave for the airport. We were thinking, what are we going to do? And it's like, should we go down to the Strip? Should we maybe, play a little bit?
The problem with that was, and it would take all of our time to get down to the Strip, park, and everything. And by the time we did that, it'd be time to go.
Right.
So we're better off just staying there and then, leaving from there. Yeah. So we headed over to the D.
Yep, headed over to the D.
And listener David was there.
Yeah, he just happened to be walking by. So he joined us at the table. And once again, very good experience at the D. You didn't have a card there, the box woman. Do you have a card? Oh, give me your...
I have to say, I can't remember her name. What was her name?
I can't either.
Vivian or...
Something, but
something.
So
I thought
nice.
it started with a V.
Yeah.
She was wonderful.
Yeah, just great.
Very pleasant, very nice, got me a thing, handled all the bets. She was a pleasure. The dealers were fine, too. The dealers were very good, but she was a pleasure.
Yeah, it really was nice. And we won a little bit there. We played with David for a little bit.
I didn't win a lot, but I won.
Won a little bit, to kind of take the sting out of the morning. Yeah. And then it's like, well, we really got to get to the airport. And, we said goodbye to David. And so then we headed back to Golden Nugget to check out. Right. And we had valeted at Golden Nugget. Right. So we got our bags and everything and went out to the valet and, you gave
I gave him the ticket and then we waited.
And it was taking a while. So you had how much money did you have in your hand? Like $2?
I had like $2. I had $2 or $3 in my hand.
And so Mike said, now starting right now from this moment.
And we had already waited quite a while.
Waited a while. Every minute that the car's not here, I'm taking 25 cents out of the tip.
Pretty soon it was like, okay, they're down to 50 cents.
Right? And, he was joking, but it was kind of funny. But yeah, once suddenly the $2 was gone, it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because now suddenly people who had showed up there after us were getting their cars.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I went back and checked. They had pulled the wrong car.
Yeah, we had actually seen they pulled out like this SUV. The guy had kind of looked around, and couldn't find the driver, and so just left it there.
Yeah, and didn't say anything.
So we have no idea that we're the car they made the mistake on, or that it even is a mistake, right?
We have no idea. So we go up and check, and he's like, "Oh yeah, and then he looked and he said, "Oh, I pulled the wrong tag."
Yeah,
he had pulled a car that he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah,
we still gave him the tip.
Well, yeah, the thing was, then he drove the other car back. I'm thinking, just get our car. You can drive the other car back later. But he drove that car.
He had to park that car, get out, go find our car, or drive that down. It took a while.
That's right. You're worried, we're going to miss our flight.
My brother's always saying, don't valet, just park in the thing. Yep. Valet takes too long. My brother hates the valet.
It's great when you get there, but when you leave, it's awful.
It's lovely when you get there. You just get out of your car and walk in the casino. But when you're leaving, it's like a nightmare.
But anyway, finally the car arrived. We went down, dropped off the rental car. I used my fuel rewards card, but it was only 3 cents off a gallon because I used it the week before in LA County. So, but anyway, got to the airport, no problems. The only interesting thing that happened at the airport, Newt Gingrich turned out to be on our flight.
And Mark was saying that, and the guy looked a lot like Newt Gingrich.
He didn't look a lot like. I was sure it was him, and it was.
It was because then when I got home, they were talking about him being in San Diego.
Yeah.
He sat. It was a PSA. It was a Southwest Airlines flight.
Yeah.
And he was, at the front of the boarding. Right. Mm-hmm. But he did not sit in the front. He sat in the emergency exit row.
Yeah, he had more leg room.
Because he wanted more leg room, right.
Who can blame him?
So, it was Newt Gingrich. He was very nice and pleasant.
Yeah. And then I think at one point, didn't you see him handing out drinks during the flight? I'm not sure if that happened or not.
One of the flight attendants looked a lot like him, too. And I'm like, hey, Newt Gingrich is handing out drinks now.
But anyway, the flight was kind of uneventful. When we landed, you got in touch with your brother and your family who were driving back, right? And they hit apparently some terrible traffic in Barstow.
They're redoing the highway there.
Yeah,
and it goes down to like one lane.
Yeah, it looks like it's always a problem.
26 miles of backup.
Yeah.
Why do these highway projects have to take 20 years to do?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't know. But so it took them forever to get back.
Yeah.
And yet, on the way back,
my dad insisted that they stop at Paola.
Amazing.
He had some free play.
Stopped at a local casino here on the way home.
They've been in Vegas for 4 days, right?
Excellent. Yeah.
They've been in Vegas for 4 days. And they're there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. They got like a 4.5-hour drive that turns into like a 9-hour drive. But my dad insists they stop at Paola.
Oh, your dad is incredible.
He won $350 at Paola.
Good for him.
So he justified it by winning.
All right. Well, so that's our VIMP trip. We really don't have any super interesting crap stories.
No,
to tell.
Victor's roll was
Victor's
great.
roll was about it,
and it was just long. I mean, it wasn't like there was anything weird that happened.
Yeah.
It was just a real nice long roll.
One thing that we did notice when we were there were a couple times you were making come bets. And a 7 came up on the come out roll, and you asked if you could leave your bets up there. Right. And they said, no, sorry, we don't take put bets.
Right.
And, it was mostly at places that had like 10 times, 20 times odds. I thought that was kind of interesting. Well, I'm not going to go into, if you want to learn more about put bets, go back to episode 54 where we talk about them. But I thought that was interesting that some of the places that have those high odds, they wouldn't take put bets.
Yeah. But then there was one place that they did let me stay at. Was that the D?
I think it was Golden Gate. Like on the day shift, they said no. And then the night shift, they said, yeah, sure.
That's right. The night shift, they said, sure, leave them up.
Yeah. So, some inconsistencies there depending on the shift. But anyway, hey, we want to thank everybody who came out to see us. We got some gifts from a lot of our listeners. We want to thank everybody who, gave us these very nice gifts while we were there.
I'll tell you what, we did not meet one bad person.
Oh, it's so nice. What a great event.
Every person we met, I enjoyed talking to. Yeah. I liked. They seemed pleasant, nice. It was weird. We did not meet any bad people. You think that many people, there's going to be somebody like, oh, that guy's kind of annoying.
Yeah, some of the weird.
There was nobody like that.
Yeah, it was so great. Oh, and we did get one very generous gift that we won't talk about yet. We don't want to jinx it.
Okay.
But we may be able to tell listeners about it on as early as week 10.
Maybe
week 10, I think is
10
maybe
or
the
11
earliest. Yeah,
of the NFL football season.
Oh, I didn't want to say that, but if you wanted to make it clear that's what we're talking
week
about.
Week 10, maybe they think it's the 10th week of the year or something.
And also, thanks again to Hunter and Chuck and Derek for everything that they did. It was just tremendous. And what a genuine guy Chuck is, isn't he? We had just met him briefly last year, but we, got to talk to him a little bit more last year. He was a great MC at all the events. And,
he does a lot of work. Him and Hunter do a ton of work, and Derek donates so much. Without those guys, thing just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
right?
Just tremendous. So we're definitely looking forward to next year. It sounds like it's going to happen next year. So we're ready to go back.
We'll be there.
Yeah. Hey, we want to thank some listeners for some PayPal donations. First of all, Adam over at Vegas Fanboy, thank you for the donation. Too bad we missed you. Boy, I hope he can come.
Yeah, I hope he can come. Yeah. You got to make sure you can come next year. If it'll help, I will personally call your wife and talk to her.
Yeah, I think I offered to do that too.
I'll have my wife call your wife and explain why she lets me go.
Yeah, okay.
And maybe that'll sway her.
That might actually hurt Adam's chances, but let's, we'll see how that goes. Also, thanks very much for the donation from Robin that we had lunch with at Pizza Rock. Right. He runs the NE Time Gambling website. Thank you very much for a PayPal donation. And also, listener Michael sent us a PayPal donation. He's got a question for you that I'm going to ask you real quick, right? He says he was wondering about why you hedge your hardway bets with hopping the easy numbers instead of just making place bets. So when you've got a big hardway bet out there, a lot of times you will hedge that bet by just making a hop on the easy ways.
Right.
Why not just make a place bet? And I've asked you this too, Mike.
Yeah, I know you have. And I have made place bets before. It just turns out sometimes my hardway bet is pressed up so much that my place bet is going to be huge.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So I can hop it for, say, $15 a hard 8 and cover my $100 8 instead of putting like a $120 place bet out.
Right. Even though in the long run, it's
yeah. It's just, and I know what I should be doing. It's just a mindset. I'm thinking, well, if he by chance 7's out right now, I've wasted 15, not 120.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why you do that's the short answer.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, and I do this, when I get a 4 or a 10 up higher, I place them.
You do. Yeah. Well, because the buy bets play a little bit better too.
The buy bets play a little better.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it. Be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. And coming up here this weekend, it's the Breeders' Cup.
Yep.
And then the following weekend is World Series of Poker Final Table. Great. So check out our TV listings. You get all of that stuff there. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS.
951 and 2 wagers.
And again, we have some calls in the hopper that we'll get to on our next episode. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Oh, wrap it up, Dr. Mike.
All right. Well, we've had a long episode, so I want to keep this kind of short. But I got real quick. I want to say, first of all, once again, everyone was great.
Yes,
We had a
fantastic
great
trip.
time.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
We'll talk about this for quite a while now amongst ourselves.
Yep.
But one of the stories we told during our podcast at VIM was about two people buying in for $14.
That's right.
On a table.
Yeah.
We had never seen the first guy bought in for $14. We're thinking, what? And then a few minutes later, I mean, totally unrelated, another guy comes up, throws $14 on the table, buys in.
That's right. Yeah.
So
it's
we're
like,
like,
it's right like that.
like it was the thing to do or something. We've never seen that. It was just blew our minds.
And then later at the Gold Nugget, one of our listeners bought in for 14.
One of our listeners bought in for 14 because he had heard us talk about it.
Yeah.
So 3 times we've seen people buy in for 14.
Yeah.
So today, right before we do this podcast, I'm at work.
Yeah.
I have this elderly patient. She's 92 years old, sweetest lady you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah.
Sweet as can be. I've known her for years. Every time she comes in, she always slips a little money into my smock. She pays her bill. But
Really?
She always gives me a little money and she'll say, oh, this is for the girls, for your daughters, buy them something.
All right.
She'll always put like $20 in there or some amount, $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So today, same thing.
Yeah.
She gives me a hug.
Yeah.
She puts her hand out and puts some money in my pocket. And, I'm on to the next patient. I forget about it. So later in the afternoon, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I reach in my pocket and I pull out the money, $14.
Perfect.
$14. She gave me 2 5s and 4 1s. I laughed for a good 20 minutes. It was so weird. I mean, she's never given me 14, but she's never given me a weird amount like, $8.
It's always been like 20 or
it's like 20 or 40 or sometimes just 10, whatever she has. And she doesn't have a lot. Yeah. And she's just the sweetest lady ever. But $14 today.
Nice.
And I know she doesn't listen to the podcast. So it was just the bizarrest thing. And on that, I mean, could my day get any better?
Perfect ending. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.